guys, welcome to Teal House Farm. Today we are going to can some zucchini. I have 6 large, medium to largest zucchini here. Special thanks to my friend Adrian who snagged these for me at a farmer's market. We didn't grow zucchini this year, mostly because every year that I grow squash, like yellow squash or zucchini squash, I get like 10 million of them, and Sam is kind of tired of eating all that squash. But I did want to have some in the pantry. I do use it a lot for my quick cooking recipes from the canning pantry, and so I'm running a little low on last year's jars, so I wanted to put up a few jars for this winter because we still do want some, we just don't want a ton. So we didn't plant any, but my friend Adrian saw a good deal at the farmer's market and she alerted me and she picked them up for me, and got them to me, so super thanks to Adrian. And so we're gonna can these and then we'll have them to enjoy this winter. So this is the part where I remind you / warn you that canning zucchini is technically not USDA sanctioned / approved, and that's not because it's been proven unsafe, but because there is not enough data to prove that it is safe to give official recommendations. So what I go off of is what is their former recommendation. They used to have canning in all the ball for zucchini and yellow squash and all the ball and cur canning books, and it was removed a while back because they felt like there wasn't enough data available. So I follow that recipe. This is kind of a can if you feel comfortable canning it, and skip it if you don't. I have never had any issues with canning zucchini. I don't see how it would be any different than canning other vegetables that are approved for canning. Zucchini doesn't have an unusually tough skin. It doesn't expand in water, which also can be dangerous when it comes to canning. So I feel very comfortable canning this as I would say green beans or carrots. So, but just so you know that I'm putting that up front, it's one of the very few things that I can that would be considered outside the sanctioned norm. Usually I am very much a rule follower, and if it is not currently recommended, I do not do it. This is one exception. Zucchini does need to be pressure canned, so we will be using the pressure canner today, but the process is very simple. And if you're curious about how to use canned zucchini in your daily eating life, check out our playlist below with all of our canning pantry cooking recipes. I use the zucchini a lot, use it for a lot of different things, adding it to soups and stews, blending it into sauces to give my kids to eat more vegetables. You can make zucchini fritters, you can fry them out of the can. I make a yummy stewed tomato that I put the zucchini in to make the tomatoes go farther, and it's got great texture. I love it. The zucchini that comes out of the can is not super mushy, so it's not going to just fall apart, but it is definitely a cooked zucchini. So this is not something that you would want to use if you wanted to make like a real quick Asian type stir fry where you want your vegetables to have a little crunch on it. These are fully cooked in the can, and so you would want them to add some. So you would want to add it to something where you would want a soft, fully cooked zucchini. But again, check out that Canning Pantry cooking playlist for lots of ideas to get your mind rolling. And if you are up to your eyeballs in zucchini, like many people are right now, this is a great way to preserve it and enjoy it all winter. Let's get started. First step, as always, we're going to wash our zucchini, not using soap or anything, just some warm water and rubbing down the outside. Make sure there's not any dirt or anything on the outside. And then we're going to dice them up. Obviously, if there's any bad spots, you'd want to cut it out, but these zucchini are actually in great shape, so I don't have to worry about that. I cut them into rounds, and then I cut those rounds into quarters, and then I put them in this big pot here, and we're going to get ready to put them on the stove. And then we're going to fill that pot up with water. We want to make sure we cover the zucchini. The zucchini kind of float, so just, you kind of know. I think I filled the pot about half up, and I had diced about 6 medium zucchini. Then you need some sort of lid. I never can find the right lid, so there we go. We're gonna get our jars ready. So we're pressure canning, so we don't need to sterilize the jars, but we do wanna make sure they're clean. So we use some hot soapy water here, get them nice and clean. And then I'm actually gonna put them in the oven to keep them warm. If you have a dishwasher, just wash them and keep them in the dishwasher until time is up. So I've turned the oven on 220. I'm gonna sit them in there for 2 or 3 minutes and just turn the oven off and just let them sit in there until it's time. We're going to go ahead and fill up our pressure canner. You want enough water that the water line comes up to your middle knuckle on your middle finger. So it's about 2 to 3 inches deep. Then we put our lids in some warm water just to make sure that they're ready. They don't need to be sterilized either because we're pressure canning. We're going to bring the zucchini to a boil and let it boil for 2 minutes. And after it's done that, we take it off the heat and we can start filling our jars. We're not going to need to put clean water in this. You could make new water if you want to, but there's no reason for zucchini. It's not like a potato where it's going to get real starchy. So we just fill it with the zucchini and the water right from this pot. You can add between a half and a whole teaspoon of salt to your jar for taste if you want to. I always leave that out and do it when I cook. Then we're going to debubble. Don't miss this step, it's really important. So we just run a plastic knife around the inside of the jars so that any air bubbles get out. Then we wipe our rims and we put our prepared lids and the rings on to fingertip tightness. What that means is you put them tight enough that you can kind of do with one hand, but not so tight that you need a really strong person to open the jar for you later. And then we're going to put them in our canner. The canner has warm water, but it's not boiling yet. We're going to go ahead, do our safety checks, and then we put the lid on, and then we're going to get the boil started. Time does not start until the canner has reached pressure. So that's 11 pounds pressure here. We're going to process them for 30 minutes. I go ahead and I have a little bit of zucchini left, so I drain it out in this colander and I'm going to save it for making zucchini bread tomorrow. So we're going to chop those pieces up. You can put a smaller jar in with your larger, so I could have put a pint in with those quarts, but the canner was completely full, so there's not enough room, and you need to have at least 4 jars in your pressure canner for safe canning. So we're just going to dice these and make some zucchini bread for breakfast tomorrow. The girls love zucchini bread anyway, and I do too, so it seems like a win-win. We just dice it up. It's still pretty hot. I almost burned my fingers off here, but we're going to dice them up into small chunks, and then we're just going to put them in the fridge to be ready to go in the morning when I make the bread. I've found that I really like using bees wrap for putting things in the fridge. It just works really well, and it's no waste, so no saran wrap or plastic waste. Plus it doesn't stick to itself like saran wrap, which is nice. And because it's got beeswax on it, a little bit of heat from that food and from my hands makes it stick nice and tight to the bowl, so you get a nice seal on top until we're ready to use it. We let the canner cool absolutely completely, then sit another 5 minutes after hit 0. Then we open it away from us so we don't get any steam burns, and we're ready to take the jars out. I do have jar lifters and I cannot find them. The kids probably borrowed them when they were playing kitchen in the living room earlier, so I have to go find them in their toy chest. But for right now, we're just gonna use this rag and carefully lift them out. It'll be just fine. You'll notice the zucchini is floating at the top. That's really normal. It'll fall as the jars cool off, and then you'll have a really nice looking zucchini in water ready to use whenever you want it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.